On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks fall to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Can it get any worse than that? What happened? Luka Doncic gets ejected after saying one thing. Jason Kidd gets ejected. The Mavs look terrible. What went wrong? We'll talk about all that and more in today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
How about 10 Mavericks, NBA champions? Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager at the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day and every post game. Even these ones. These ones. We're free and available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. The best way you can help us grow the show is to comment anything below. Let us know. What do you think Luka said to referee Rodney Mott to get immediately ejected? Let it fly. It's YouTube. Anything goes, right? Let it fly. Let it fly in the comment section below. Joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com, the Ejection Eagle, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Well, I was trying to figure out if we're locked on Rodney Mott tonight or do we have a Locked On Rodney Mott show?
Best game I've seen him call all year. I mean, I've been following his career and just love that he really got in there, right? He made his presence known, and that's what you want from a referee.
The other day, my son was asking me, we're talking about Christmas and talking about gifts, and he's just 4, but I was like, hey, what's something you'd want for Christmas? And he told me a Rodney Mott jersey, and
it's got to say Mott on the back of it.
Yeah, Mott, and swing. I don't know I think we can pull off the swingman, but we'll see. I just got to see if Rodney will sign it.
Do they have him in the graffiti jerseys? Does he have one of those?
Maybe that's why he teed up Luka tonight. Luka said that was his favorite jersey.
On today's show, we'll get into the Mavericks' loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, like half of the Minnesota Timberwolves. It wasn't even the full team, really. It was another one of these games the Mavs lost to.
Wait, really? They lost to a team without their...
another loss without the stars. And so you look at the Timberwolves, they were without Gobert and Towns. And the biggest star of them all, your nemesis, Kyle Slow-Mo Anderson, was out in this game too.
Yeah, he texted me.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Luka's ejection. And then in the third segment, let's have some fun. We each tweeted out. I said, what did Luka say to get immediately ejected on Twitter? I got a bunch of responses. We're going to go through and rate them from didn't happen to likely happened. And then Isaac tweeted out, what are Kidd and Luka doing in the locker room together after they both got ejected? And we're going to rate them from didn't happen to likely to happen. So stick around. We'll play that game. That should be fun at the end. But let's start with this. I mean, it started out pretty good for the Mavs, I thought. They didn't have a bunch of players. There's a bunch of Mavs that were not playing in this game. Maxey is still out, obviously. Josh Green is out again. He seems to be out until maybe Christmas is the next date that we don't know if he's going to be out or not. Dwight Powell is now day-to-day. He was out for this game, but that seemed to be positive that at least they have some kind of projection on when he could come back. Tim Hardaway Jr. was out in this game. The Mavericks were missing 4 rotation players. That doesn't make up for the loss that they took tonight with Gobert and Towns both out for the Timberwolves. But Mavs started out. They started Luka, Dinwiddie, Dorian, Reggie Wood, and then
Reggie Wood.
And then the first quarter was fine. They're 9-point lead.
Wait.
And then the second,
you can't bury the lead on. This is the first game that Luka and Christian Wood started together. you can't just gloss over that.
I thought we would walk our way there.
No, I just wanted to point that out. It's a big deal. People have been waiting for that for a while.
I've been calling for it. People have been waiting for it. We've been wanting to see.
I said it the other day that they should start him at this point. It's white out. There's really no other option. They had to start him.
And so they finally start Christian Wood with Luka together now. And the first quarter was fine. Second quarter, the offense just completely fell off. They just couldn't get anything going. Literally nothing went. And that's honestly where they lost the actual game. Even with Luka's ejection and everything. It was that second quarter where the offense was they scored 14 points. They were 4 of 16 from the field. That quarter right there, the way that the Mavericks play right now, if their offense is that bad for a quarter, they can't overcome it at this point.
Yeah, I thought Spencer Dinwiddie had a great first quarter.
Yeah, he did.
Hit a couple threes. He had 8 points there in the first quarter. They hit 5 threes as a team. I thought they were defending pretty well. Held Minnesota to 21 points there, and then it just all opened up in the second quarter, like you said.
No. It closed down. It closed down. For the Mavs. Like,
the floodgates opened up. That's what I meant.
They went head to toe with the Timberwolves, and then it ended up being head to toe.
Almost did a head to toe reference of Messi and Mbappe the other day, and but no one else. I don't think a lot of people.
I was gonna say, I hope our listeners still get that reference, but yeah,
Nas Reed feasted tonight. As the starting big for Minnesota, I mean, he had 27 points, 9 boards, and I mean, I know some of y'all give me heck about like Christian Wood stuff, but he feasted on Christian Wood tonight, and that's the type of stuff that you watch a game like that and you're like, all right, especially if Luka goes out, which whatever, but we'll talk about that. Like you got to win that matchup if you're Christian Wood.
Just from the opening tip, it felt like either Christian Wood didn't know what kind of a player Nas Reed was, like what he's capable of, or the coaching staff told him what kind of player he is, and he just didn't follow it. It just seemed like he was so confused. Anytime he was spaced out for 3, he's like, now what do I do? He's been pretty good defensively underneath the basket. And I thought he had some good defensive plays underneath the basket in this one. But anytime that Nas Reed was stepped out to the 3-point line, which he does a lot, he can hit the 3, he can drive it a little bit. You saw it all in this game. And anytime he was spaced out, Christian Wood just completely went, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, how am I supposed to defend this? And he got really confused. And then the Mavericks got out to a pretty good start. And then the Timberwolves caught up in that first quarter because of that, because of his defense on him, and then it ended up.
There was more than that. I don't want to say and say.
I thought it was one of the big reasons why at the beginning of the game, though, that the Mavericks started to lose their lead was because of that. I'm glad that you brought that up because I saw that and I was like, okay, well, this is a problem. And then in the second quarter, their offense fell out from underneath them, and it just didn't matter anyway.
Some stats in the second quarter. Points in the paint from Minnesota in the second quarter, 20.
20 points. Oh, my gosh.
Minnesota 20 points in the paint in the second quarter. Dallas had 4. Minnesota had 10 fast break points. Dallas had 0. When you start looking across the board as far as who played a lot in the quarter for Dallas, Spencer played 10 out of the 12 minutes, had 2 points. Christian Wood, 8 of the 12 minutes, 0. Reggie Bullock, 0. Luka was after that, played half the quarter and had 7 points, but it just all fell apart in the second quarter. And for some reason, I don't know if it's a mental thing for Dallas or what, they just struggle so much against these teams that don't have their star players. And it's like they let their guard down or there's something with it. And this team just fought in Minnesota, and there's a bunch of people who scored for Minnesota, so it's not like one dude just took over in that second quarter. But they won the quarter 36-14. That's the story of the game.
That's it. Yeah, that's the story of the game. Even before Luka's ejection and Kidd's ejection, it was that. It was that they just completely fell apart. And honestly, they didn't really make any changes. Jason Kidd made the same normal rotations he would make, just different pieces in there because of the guys that were out. And there's nothing really changing. And I don't know what game plan the coaching staff has for some of these games. You come into some of these games and you're like, this team just doesn't look prepared for this team at all. I'm sure they're doing their job and coming up with game plans and things, but the players are either just not carrying out what that is and just going rogue, or there isn't a plan and they're like, we're just going to keep running our stuff. Let's be good at what we do and run our stuff. And it just doesn't work when you're playing these teams that you haven't seen and you're trying to, figure out how to defend and all that kind of stuff. It just didn't work. And the Mavs went all offense, playing Luka, Dinwiddie, Kemba, Christian Wood started, all that, what I've been saying. And their offense was one of the worst games we've seen for the year. It was pretty wild. Besides Davis Bertans, the Mavericks had almost literally nothing on offense. Coming up, let's get into the ejection. Why did Luka get ejected? Do we have some history with that ref? What does it mean going forward for Luka? And then we'll play our games a little bit later on in the show. But before we do that, let me tell you about Turo. If you've ever wanted to try a car, like let's just say you wanted to try it out like a pair of shoes. With Turo, you can book any car you want, wherever you want it. With a community of local hosts, browse a huge selection of vehicles for just about any occasion or budget across the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. Book a spacious SUV or a minivan for a family road trip. Isaac, you got a couple little kids. Maybe a minivan for a road trip. You're like, hey, let me just try for, I want to go somewhere. Great. Get that. You can get a classic or a luxury car for a special event, a birthday. Maybe you want to take your friend out somewhere really good. Maybe you want to impress a girl that you want to take out or a guy that you want to take out, and you rent a car from Turo. It doesn't have to be yours. They don't have to know that it's not your car. Go ahead and check it out at Turo, Turo. You can go. Many hosts can deliver the car right to you. Every trip is backed by liability insurance. Terms and conditions and exclusions apply. Forget boring rental cars. Find your drive at Turo.com. All right, Isaac Harris, thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. If you're listening today, we really appreciate you. You are part of the Raccoon Squad. You listen every day, even after losses. There are many out there that won't listen to this episode, and we really appreciate the ones that are here. You guys are the real ones. Shout out to the day ones, too, that have been with us since day one. All right, Isaac Harris.
I'm here because I have to be a
Jason Kidd gave us another great drop. he just keeps giving us more good drops every day. That's what he said after the game, after the ejection. And in the third quarter, Luka Doncic had been kind of going back and forth with the refs for a while. Anthony Edwards doing the same thing. This was not a well-officiated game. This was not necessarily consistently. It was a very tightly called game for a while. I thought there was a lot of ticky-tack fouls here and there. Anthony Edwards got a technical at the 7-minute mark of the third quarter, and then at the 2-minute mark, Luka Doncic goes up for his pump fake and then, tries to get the defender off their feet. They kind of do get off their feet, then they land, and Luka tries to, to throw one up and get the foul call. Fouls were the only way the Mavs were generating offense at that point in the game, and he doesn't get the foul call. Nothing is called at all.
It was a foul.
Yeah, nothing was called at all, but it had been that very foul had been called before and would get called in the next possession after all this stuff ensues too on the Timberwolves end. So Luka doesn't get a foul call. He slowly gets up, walks to the other end of the court, and as he's doing so, walks by crew chief Rodney Mott, who is the crew chief referee for this group, says something to him. Not even like a full sentence, right? Like you're trying to read his lips and you're like, he didn't say very much. Like not a lot of words came out of his mouth, but the words that he did were apparently enough for Rodney Mott to call 2 techs in a row, immediate ejection for Luka Doncic. Luka, after the game, was asked about it, and he said the first technical foul was called for, a correct call offense. Oh, no. Luke, what did Luka say? I got this right here. I had the quote. Luka said,
Did you lose the quote?
Basically what Luka said, paraphrasing, I thought I had the direct one. What Luka said was, I deserved a technical, at least one. He's like, I definitely did deserve a technical. But for 2, he was so shocked walking out of there. He didn't even believe that he had been ejected. Like he didn't walk off the court for a little while because he just didn't believe that he got thrown out at all. And then they were telling him like, hey, you got ejected. And he just didn't believe it. He went to the locker room. Jason Kidd took up for Luka.
I don't even know. I'll push back just a little bit. I don't even know if he was taking up for Luka because it felt like he was already. I mean, it was definitely about Luka's no call, but it felt like Kidd was already coming out on the floor before Luka even got ejected. And
so he was taking up for Luka in the play before that.
Yeah, well, the no call, and then once you walk out on the floor as a coach, you know where you're going to continue walking at that point.
Twitter isn't the coach.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what Luka, obviously what you just said about Luka post game that, he admits that it warranted one.
Yeah.
But you don't see that too often, the immediate ejection for the most part. Like, all right, whatever you said, it was enough that I don't want you playing in this game anymore type thing. And, we don't know what he said. And I mean, some of you probably listen to this saying, hey, it doesn't matter what he said. It doesn't warrant 2 ejections. And yeah, I mean, for a star player in the league, it's pretty tough. No, I mean, you'd have to. I'm trying to think of some things that you'd have to say.
I know what he said. He walked by Rodney Mott. He was like, "You," and when I just come over to you and That's what he said to him, right? Like, and so you're saying, okay, well, I get that. Like, I kind of understand. Like, if Luka comes over to you and he was like, hey, you stop with the...
I would just turn my head and walk away.
That's what you do? You take the high road instead of turning back like Tony Brothers and being like, you?
Well, Luka's 6'8", and I would have no chance against him.
Well, he's not going to punch you. He's not going to do anything to you. He pushes you, he gets suspended. He wouldn't do that. I don't know what Luka said. There's a lot of lip readers out there that are trying, but we do know that Rodney Mott has a history with Luka. Like, we're definitely going to, I think we're going to remember Rodney Mott now. It's been 2 times now that he ejected Luka for something kind of dumb. In 2021, in May of 2021, Luka got a technical after he walked by Rodney Mott and screamed, hell no, as he shook his fist at him. And Rodney Mott called a tech on that, called it unsportsmanlike. And then the second technical was because Luka threw a ball, through the full court heave at the buzzer, and he got called for a technical on that one, and he got ejected. And that was in May of 2021. That was a tough one. And so now we have another instance of him ejecting him really quickly.
Can I take 15 seconds to say one comment, and then we can go back to being like,
do I need the bleep button? Do I need the bleep button?
All Mavs bias. You might need to bleep it. How many refs do we need to have a vendetta against before we ask, are we sure it's not us?
Are we the bad roommate? Like, if you have so many bad roommates, maybe you're the bad roommate.
Yeah, I just want to throw that out there. I don't want to make it a whole big talking point, and but
it's part of the Mavs game though for Luka to get these calls, right? Like, it's part of his game. It's I think Harden has these. I think star players just have this. I think Harden has them. I think LeBron has them. I think KD probably has them. It maybe not be as many referees that we know their full names of as we do as people covering the Mavs, but I think that it happens to a lot of star players. It's really part of the game. There's a whole relationship element of it. They talked about it before the season, like, hey, let's make the relationship between players and refs better. So far, that has not been the case, and so you refs.
I want to point out a few stats before we get to the third segment. I know I was talking about the second quarter about them having 20 points in the paint. If you want to point at one stat that is the tell-all for this, look at the total points in the paint for the entire game. Dallas had 18. Minnesota had 58.
That's it.
Minnesota had 58 points in the paint compared to Dallas's 18. Like, I mean, they're getting into the paint and scoring at will. Now, what do you say? What do you say to that? Do you say, well, our perimeter defense sucks because they're getting to the paint? Or do you say our interior defense sucks because you're not protecting the paint? So, I mean...
Well, with Dallas, they're designed for their perimeter defense to stop the paint attacks because they don't have the guy, the rim protector. JaVale has not been good enough to even garner like rotation minutes. And so Christian Wood is not necessarily a rim protector. He can step up and contest a couple shots, but he's not a rim protector. And so you're like, all right, well, our team is predicated now on all of our guys rotating to the right spot. And we can talk a little bit more about Luka. Like, this was one of Luka's worst games even before the ejection. He seemed to be like, he's been having some injury problems. He's been having some quad things. And he's been having some different injuries, and it seemed to be bugging him. He had that weird ankle injury at the beginning of the game. It's one of those where he's hurt, he's down, and then he gets up, and then he's like limping. That was like 4 or 5 minutes into the game. And then in the first quarter, it just looked like he was laboring, walking up and down the court. It just looked like it was tough for him to keep playing, but he wanted to keep playing. He told the sidelines that I want to stay in. And so, like, you're just playing this tough game, and to play the Mavs defense the way they want to, you can't have a guy like that's playing on like one leg. And Dorian apparently also was playing injured as well because he had a right abductor strain. He left the game. And after the game, Dorian said to Callie Kaplan of Dallas Morning News, he tried to fight through it. He had this injury on Saturday, but I feel like he probably made it worse. Takes a lot for me to get out of the game. Like, I'm not going to leave the game. He's been the Mavs Iron Man for a while, but it seems like he made the injury worse. So now he has this right abductor strain. The great Twitter account In Street Clothes is a guy that covers injuries in the NBA and says, abductor, a groin, regroin, like that kind of. This kind of injury, on average this season, players have missed 2.7 games this season on average. So I know that other players have, there's been players that have missed more games, players missed less games, so it just depends on how bad the injury is for Dorian. But guys are playing through stuff, and the Mavs defense can't hold up when you have multiple guys playing through injury like that and aren't sharp.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to Davis Bertans too. I mean, this dude came in just flamethrower. Hit 6 threes tonight off the bench. He was 6 of 9 from the field from 3 in this, but 18 points is just fun. JaVale McGee was a positive plus minus. So
yeah, Davis was really the only good thing about this game. He got it started going, and honestly, his defense hasn't been as bad as I had thought. I thought he had a couple of good stops in this game towards the end. If that's the only
Latvian rim protector is still here.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got some more like rotation minutes, just because they need somebody that can shoot. Like, if they're going to be so reliant on threes, they might as well have the guy that is literally just threes and like almost literally nothing else. All right, coming up, let's play some games. Let's rate your responses to what do we think Luka said to Rodney Mott? What do you think Kidd and Luka were doing in the locker room when they got ejected? Let's have some fun. Talk about that coming up. Before we do, let me tell you about Bet Online. It's the best place to check out the odds and lines inside and outside of sports. You got the NFL. You have a bunch of games that are coming up that are going to decide some playoff races and a couple things like that. Let's see. We have who are the Dallas Cowboys playing this year? Oh, they're playing the Eagles.
Christmas Eve.
And there's rumors that Jalen Hurts is hurt, right?
Yeah.
I saw that. What do you think is the spread? Cowboys at home. What's the point spread on Bet Online?
Eagles by 3.
Cowboys? Do you want to try? You want to guess again now that I told you it's Cowboys?
Cowboys by 2.5.
6.5.
Because Hurts isn't playing.
Walk, don't run to Bet Online. Maybe to put some money on the Philadelphia Eagles in that one. That one's pretty wild. Yeah, the Cowboys are favored by 6.5 on that one. Cowboys are minus 260 on the money line. Eagles are plus 220 on the money line. So check that out. They think that Jalen Hurts is worth a lot. He might win the MVP this year. Go check it out. Bet Online. They also have other stuff besides NFL. It's where the game starts. All right, Isaac Harris. Oh, boy. What a game. Luka gets ejected. Davis Bertans goes off. It's only a 10-point loss, but it feels like the Mavs' worst loss of the season, doesn't it?
I wouldn't say worse, but I don't know. Are we just numb to it at this point?
All right, we're going to play a game. What do we think Luka said to Rodney Mott as he walked by him to get an immediate ejection? We're not talking like just a technical. He got 2 technicals in a row and got ejected from this one thing that he said.
How are you going to do this with suitable for children?
A lot of them are good.
Okay.
We have the new bleep button. So.
Oh, yeah. For all the times I need it.
All right, these are from you guys, and I'm gonna read them, and Isaac and I are gonna rate them as 0, it didn't happen, to 5 being likely. So you can do 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is likely that that probably happened. That's probably what he said. Or 0, didn't happen, not gonna happen. All right, let's start with this one from Hugo. What did Luka Doncic say to Rodney Mott? Save me from this coach.
Ooh.
No, that one's a 1.
No, I don't think you're getting tech for that.
Don says to Rodney Mott, your applesauce is trash. That's
pretty good, to be honest.
5.
Who said that? What was his name?
This guy Dom.
I'm really impressed.
Yeah, that's a good one. You guys, in the U.S. at least, we have Mott's applesauce. It's like a whole brand of stuff. There's a couple I can't read. Tyler said that 5 on 8 is tough.
Nah,
I've
heard that one before.
Nick Butcher says season 8 was the best season of The Office. Somebody said that that was a bad call. That's what a lot of people are saying. They tried to lip read what Luka said. That was a bad call. That's all that he said, and that's why Luka was so confused. I'm gonna say that's 0. That's not likely at all. There's no way that's all he said to get ejected.
Surely you're not getting tossed for that.
I mean, we would hope so. Surely. We still also, by the way, at the time of recording this, it is almost 11 Texas time as we're recording this. We still have not seen a pool report from anybody that goes and like talks to Rodney Mott and asked him, because we got a reason the last time he got ejected, and you usually get a reason from referees if something happens like this, but we have not gotten that.
The John Morant ejection the other day.
Right, yeah, it happens in every game. What did Luka say to Rodney Mott to get ejected? Rating on 0 to 5. All 41 for Dirk says, or no, Nathan says, I will never buy your horseshoes. Did you see the horseshoes that Luka gave Dorian?
Yeah.
Luka gave Dorian Finney-Smith got a new horse over the offseason, and Luka gave him a pair of like Luka ones for a horse that literally a horse can wear. So I'm going to say that
the delivery of it was kind of weird, but the shoes are cool.
Yeah, it came in like a Trojan horse looking like thing that you open up. Like you opened it up like a grill. Mavs Brazil says, I hate this team. Get me out of here. 0
to the bank.
0. Jason Dodge says, Luka told Rodney Mott, Kevin McAllister is the real villain in Home Alone.
Get out of here. No, he's not.
0 didn't happen. Let's see. Oh, Frog the Mud says that Jar Jar Binks is the best Star Wars character. That would get me fired up. That would get me fired up.
I actually like Jar Jar. I think he gets hated on too much.
Did you call him Jar Jar?
No, Jar Jar.
Okay.
Get off.
I have a friend at back home named Jar Jar. When that movie came out, that was not a good month for him.
Yeah.
It's your boy says, are you kidding me? These calls are more consistent than a Tim Hardaway Jr. jumper.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Patrick says something along the lines of Facu Campazzo.
It's probably closer to that.
It's probably closer to what he just said there. There you go. All right, let's listen. Let's hear some of the ones from Isaac. You got yours pulled up?
Yeah, I do. So I tweeted out, hey, what after the ejections for Kidd and Luka, what are they doing in the locker room in the back? Dodo says watching Jalen Brunson highlights.
Oh, that one hurts. That one hurts my soul. 0.
Former Mavs assistant coach and friend of the pod multiple times, Mike Shed says ordering wings and Bud Lights.
Oh, 100%. Can I give it a 10? 10 from 0 to 5. I give that one a 10. Kidd and Luka are just sitting there eating wings. They come back and there's sauce all over their faces, and they're just like.
Mike, do you know stuff that we don't know?
I was gonna say, yeah, Shed. Let us know.
All 41 one for Dirk says they on Fanspo comparing fake trades.
The trade machine. Fire up Luka's sitting there like all sad, and he's looking at his shoes or something, and Kidd comes in, he's like, fire up the trade machine, Luka. And he's like, I already got it up.
Loser Brain, sorry, I'm going through all the accounts that have muted, so I gotta open it up. Loser Brain says trading Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. I don't even know what that means, but
that's the new game. It's the new Pokemon game. 0.
This one's one of my favorites. Tyler Edsel says listening to Locked On Mavs.
Hey,
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
That's right. And then Kidd walks in and he's like,
I'm here because I have to be a.
We should put that in the intro. We should put this in the intro.
I'm here because I have to be a.
No, Nick, we're not allowed to say that on the pod.
But Jason Kidd can say
it. Billy says playing Mousetrap, a whimsical game by Milton Bradley. If that's the board game Mousetrap, so underrated. I haven't played that game for so long, but I love that game as a kid.
I wanted to play Mousetrap. You roll your dice, you move your mice. Nobody gets hurt.
Shibs says this is honestly probably the correct answer. Staring into the void as the void stares back. Are they even talking?
Yeah, like are they even in the same room?
Are you dabbing up like when you go in like, hey, tough game tonight? Like, do they acknowledge each other? Does Luka just go straight to like the ice bath or shower? Are they who's watching the game? Is Kidd watching it with Luka?
I think Luke. Yeah, Luke. Oh man.
So we know how some of these away team locker rooms work. Like some of them are. I mean, the Mavs away team locker room is tiny.
Yeah. I imagine I imagine like a Steve Kerr or a Mike Brown or a Spoelstra, they get ejected. They walk in and they grab the player by the shoulders and they like give them affirmations and like say good things to them. And I imagine Jason Kidd just like walks by Luka and doesn't say anything.
You don't think he wants to touch the car?
Oh, do I still?
So I want to, be able to touch the car.
Brittany says in the back they're talking about who got who for Secret Santa.
I'm into that one. I'm into that. What would Luka get Kidd for Secret Santa? A different Rangers flat bill hat.
Man, there's so many not suitable for work ones. Got one. Dr. Mark says playing Uno. Dirkster says watching Wembanyama highlights.
Oh god, no, I'm out. Not on Wembanyama on the Mavs chances.
Oh, I was gonna say, are you out on him?
No. The Mavs have no shot.
Steve says Mario Kart. They're in the back playing Mario Kart.
Mario Kart. Hey.
This one's a good one. Big 12 Christian says FaceTiming Dirk.
Oh, 100%. That's the one. That's the one. Oh, I wish that I could do that. Like when I was feeling, if I'm ever feeling sad or something bad happens to me, I would just love to be able to FaceTime Dirk. I feel like he would just make you feel better.
I don't have anything else. I mean, there's a bunch of them on here that I just can't repeat.
Here,
So.
Explain yourself. Sorry.
You want me? You want me to? I got the beep ready.
No.
All right, there you go. Let us know in the comment section
You want
below.
me to read Reyna's?
Go for it.
The one I sent you? No, I'm not saying that.
No. Go ahead in the comment section. Let us know what you think Luka and Jason Kidd were doing in the locker room. Let me know what you think Luka said to
For fun. What were they?
Well, I didn't go there this time.
I'm here because
I don't feel good. This
have to be
hurts to laugh.
Let us know what do you think Luka said to Rodney Mott to get ejected in the comment section below. Thanks for making us your first listen. Go check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. Biggest stories of the day, instant reactions, big game recaps, the take of the day, available on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Dope.
Boom!